tell, then you see the road. I'm out to my soul into the sides whenever the smoke clear out of my face and my picture perfect. Do it. All of that green together, the truth, yeah. Tell you the
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 6th part of, What If My Little Pony Meets BEN10? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of JBoy44 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Rarity was walking around the just-appeared Hollow Shades Bat Pony side. It was like old-time London. She was even wearing a coat just to fit in. She smiled looking at shop windows selling cloths made for anthroponies. I so hate having to alter or make my cloths from scratch. Not that I can't, it's just you get sick of needing to alter or make every last pair of pants you own. She adjusted her hat carrying a bag. She notices some of the other college students walking around it more than the Wavelite Wolves side, but that side was basically just cabins in the woods where they go to the mines and dig. Not much to see there. It all seemed peaceful. She quickly used a transport spell to teleport her purchases to her dorm room as she walked around hearing a scream. There was a man in a mask in a front loader knocking down a building as he said, "Nothing personal, the knights are paying me big for knocking down this pony towns." Rarity fired off a magic blast, but to her shock the front loader morphed into a mech suit so he could jump out of the way. The bad guy said, "Call me Breaker19 and this is Liza, she is my front loader / mech suit." He charged using the suit's club hand to try and punch her. But Rarity raised a mana wall and jumped back to avoid it as it shattered her mana wall. "So you're a forever knight temp then?" she asked in shock. It wasn't the mech suit, her family had one and she drove one, for crying out loud. The demolition guy said, "Yeah, I guess so. Not like I can use their beam to turn into a knockoff of one of Ben's alien of whatnot since they are in London." The human won. He charged trying to use the club hand to smash the unicorn. Rarity jumped back and in a moment she fired off a mana fireball from her horn down at the club hand, making it melt. The arm robot then pointed its melted club forward and shot it off like a rocket as he said, "Rocket punch B." Rarity gasped as she used a spell to teleport behind the guy, making the fist punch the ground. But the suit turned around and quickly used its hand fist to punch her. Or he would have if she hadn't ducked. Rarity then covered her left hand in a magic dome to punch the HRNSS holding him, indent it. She then jumped back to avoid another charging punch. The bad guy charged forward, going in for a downward swing with his remaining fist. Rarity jumped back, firing a beam to blast off the arm at the elbow. The mech suit was let without arms and Breaker19 looked at that. "Well, now I bet you think you're funny, but..." It changed back to a front loader. And charged forward, still a demolition machine. He charged only for Rarity to jump to the side and shoot out the left front tire, making it skid out and crash into street-like. Breaker19 got out, dusting himself off. "So you disarmed the robot and killed the wheels. I bet you think you won, but you haven't." "I lied about not having any DNA," he said, hitting a button on his head, making him glow red and turn into what looked like bootleg. The New Mutant Mechamopper said, "Now let's do this again," he said, fusing into his machine, turning it into a rearmed, slightly larger version of its mech mode repaired. The hands both now big drills as he charged with jet power forward to try and spear Rarity. "Now die." Rarity teleported to the side, panting, screaming as she ran, using the teleport spell to avoid the drill hands before it looked like she vanished. Below the streets in the sewer, Rarity was shivering. "Ew, but I just need to outlast him. Those knockoff changes time out. It'll go back to being broken in like 8 minutes. She said, pulling out her phone, "But he is free to destroy more while I am not distracting her. What to do?" "Wait," she pulled out something from her coat pocket. She smiled, looking at it, a mini DNA repair gun. "Cooper, time to test this. You make it to counter the bootleg Omnitrix the Bug Brothers made for the Knights." She then teleported out and pointed the red hand pistol at the Mechamorph as she said, "Freeze, dirt bag." Breaker turned his drill fist ready as he said, "You think that scares me?" He then charged only for Rarity to pull the trigger, firing a red ray, making the suit turn into Breaker 19, charging in a mech with no arms. Rarity smiled, but her repair gun broke and she jumped, summoning a mana platform to stand in the air for a moment before dropping to the back of the mech. She held on and fired a mana blast at the controls, making it stop. "Now you can't even run away with it," she said, smirking happily as she jumped off and held out her plumber badge. "In name of the Red Spot Union, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. What you say can and will be used against you in court. And you have the right to a lawyer. If you can't pay for one, a cheat one will be appointed to you." Breaker held up his hands as he said, "I was one with Liza and you took that for me. When I get out I am gunning for you, Ms. Marshmallow Fluff." Moments later Rarity hit a side button, making energy cuffs appear on the guy, hooking him to a streetlight that will hold you till the others pick you up, but I have shopping to get back to. She then happily walked off with Ha Spring in her step. Meanwhile in the lockup, Sydney was sitting all along till Murus dropped into the cell, formed the trapdoor, and the bigger bug brother hugged the small one happily. Murus rolled his eyes. Yeah, I missed you too, but it's time to break out," he said, pulling out a tube. "This tube holds XLR8 DNA. You drink half, I drink half. We mutate for 5 minutes and use the speed we will get to shake the door apart, then run while we still have time." The big bug clapped, and before long the plan worked. As the bug brothers timed out in the middle of Bellwood running, as Maurice clapped happily as Sydney Flo as he said, "Now let's go work on Project Antitrix, as I am getting 6 of this," he said, flying to the dumb where they hid out. He walked in to see a knockoff Omnitrix. He smiled as he plugged it in and hit a button on a makeshift computer. There the fathered 10 samples of DNA are loading in. "Sydney, I wrist is too small to hold it. You will need to use it. When it done in a week. Slow makeshift computer systems. But we tested it up to this point. This is the final test. We do this and we have matched Galvan's. And I will be rubbing elbows with Azimuth Albedo and that goddamn purple crab." The big bug brother banged his chest, making happy bug noises as the smaller one said, "Gee, control yourself, man. This is going to be a long wait till it's done and you can become a bad Ben. Just like Albedo." The download hit 1% as the DNA was loading into the Antitrix. The bugs then sat down to play tic-tac-toe in the dirt as they had nothing else to do. Evil and smart, yes, but still all made Fama repaired and makeshift tech. In the forest, Ben was water hazard blasting mutant squirrels off Rook with Spanner beside him as he said, "Come on Rook, we got double Onimo to capture. Wait, each have their brother's brain plugged in sour. Onimo squared to capture." Rook spat out water and said, "How grim are things when you are getting math right, and how come you are trusting this Spanner," he said, pointing to him. Spanner had a green ponytail and his helmet had horn on it, and Ben said, "Well, now that is simple, dear Rook," she said, timing out. He followed Onimo form the future back in time, meaning he is a time travel himself. And based on the love of green in the costume, the horn, he can only be one person. Ben removed the helmet to reveal the grown face of Kenny, "My own son. With a dyed tail to try and throw me off," he said, shouldering the helmet under his arms. Future Kenny blinked and turned. "Was I really that see-through?" Rook's jaw dropped as Ben said, "Yeah, you were." Ben put his son's helmet back on. "Now protect that head. Now where is he going? I know you read the files on this in advance. You are your mother's foal." Kenny rubbed the back of his head. "Yeah, I did. I know where they are going." Meanwhile, a truck containing DNA was being jacked by a mutant flying squid and a snail. The future Professor Onimo spoke form within his brother's dome. "No, you don't get a body again. You are stuck sharing one with your brother forever." Present Professor Onimo then said, "That is so sad." At with point Ben Spanner and Rook showed up as the Onimos said, "Ben Tennyson's Rook, and we're sorry. Who are you?" Ben pointed to him, "My time-traveling son Kenny." "Future Kenny, everyone future Kenny." The mutant snail then said, "Hi Kenny." Everyone jumped at that one as future Onimo said, "Better than I though I was. If it's talking." Ben then turned into Gutrot and said, "Kenny, dome you and Rook." Kenny's horn glowed, doming them as Gutrot let it rip. The Onimo form the present was rolling around throwing up as he passed out while future Onimo laughed it off. Future Professor then pointed out, your snail holding what you are after is passing out on the side of a mountain. The gorilla body one jumped as his snail fell over with the container all the way down the mountain destroying it as he growled, "Got dang it Tennyson, curse you and your middling ways. And your BRT too." The gorilla-bodied Onimo brothers charged to try and smash but Ben turned into 4 arms and went ultimate and landed 3 left hooks to the stomach of the ape making the dome head pop off and crawl away. But Spanner dropped his dome and fired a net grabbing it. He threw it over his shoulder and smiled, "Well, I need to get this Onimo back to the future." By Dad by Uncle Rook. "Wait, have you asked Aunt Rarity to marry you yet or not?" "Oh well, doesn't matter, he is knocked out," formed the gas. He then opened a portal and jumped through. Ben then took the time to turn into Diamond Head to cuff the real Onimo making a chain anchor part of the crystal cuffs so he couldn't run away as he threw Rook over his shoulder. While carrying him away Rook woke up to ask, "Did we win?" Ben then said, "Yeah. And my son said you and my sister get married. I approve. You have my blessing to ask her to marry you when you are ready, buddy." Rook raised an eyebrow, "My head hurts from time travel and I cannot explain why." The alien patted his back, "That is called a time travel headache. It's a rite of passage in this family. Welcome Rook, welcome, you are an honorary Tennyson." The blue guy blinked and said, "I am not follow you completely on this, Ben. My head is killing me," he said holding it. Ben then laughed it off, "Oh, good times takes me back to my first time travel adventure. I am going to go through an S phase. I am just going to be a big fat S for a few months there. Sorry in advance. Like I tell my wife." Rook blinked and held his head with both hands. "You are making it worse, Ben," he said groaning, as Ben replied, "That's what older me said to me. And what I said to younger me. Man was I AFBRT as a kid." Later on when Ben got home he said, "Hi honey, I home." He noticed the currently one Kenny sitting in his play pin playing with his blocks as he giggled as Ben petted his head. Jessica was cutting carrots as she asked, "So who was work today?" She know this was load but it was always interesting. Ben then said, "Onimo time traveled to team up with his younger self. But he lost because at I am guessing 13 Kenny times travel back and tells me what to do to win." The wife jumped at the comment, Wait. You meet older Kenny? How is he?" Ben pointed to the show Kenny was watching about costume heroes with helmet striking poses while fighting. "That show has a big impact on him," he said walking up to her, but she turned. Jessica blinked and she said, "Watch the spoilers." She said point with her hand that was not holding a knife. Ben had his hands out, "Okay, I will. But want to hear what made him think I wouldn't know it was him?" Jessica nodded, "He tied his tail green to try and threw me off." Jessica held her mouth and giggled, "Yeah, that sounds about right." "Oh Kenny," she said looking to the happy baby clapping while watching the show. Ben looked at him and put a hand around his wife, as he said, "Yeah, he's going to be a good kid." He gave Rook his first time travel headache. They watched their baby stand up and try to mimic one of the TV show people's poses while giggling. Jessica smiled as she put the knife down, "Yeah, he will be." Meanwhile, Rook was currently in his room. He walked over to a nightstand, opened a drawer, and there was the ring box. He opened it to show an engagement ring. "So she will say yes. Do not know if that is a help or a hurt to me giving this to Rarity." He sat down on his bed looking at it sighing, "Rook, you need to stop being a chicken." He jumped up and said, "Yes, I got an earth saying correct. In the Anner system." Ben his father the stowaway Megan were watching their hired pilot try to fix their ship. "Rad dudes," man said, "our part is fired, how about Ben over there just go upgrade?" Ben pointed at his watch and said, "Yeah, good in theory, but I would time out and we would have a ship with no power. For 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes with only stored air. We all need to breath. We would suffocate before we would make it close to home. Let alone a planet we could use air filter to get more. Besides that, while merged upgrades can only power up one system. I can't power up the air generators and fly us at the same time. The duck alien put his wing hands on his belt and nodded as he said, really now? That's I guess a logical weakness. I never meet a mechamorph that could multitask. Megan then blinked, what about Dad's friend Scout? He has spare parts. Carl then said, yes but they don't like outsiders. Ben then became Biltzwolfer and grabbed the Victor statue and said, who said they would see an outsider? He then head out with the statue as he came to a random member of Victory's race, finally some good luck, sorry to trouble you sir. The alien turned as Ben in his werewolf-like form put the statue down, short answer this unlucky gent got covered in molten metal and mistakenly SHT off out of our system. The outsider while ugly were kind enough to call and send him home. But as you see their ship broke while landing. So they can't leave now that they are done. The alien held his chin and said, yes that is sad. Oh you must be getting to wanting Scout, the only guy who is into leaving and coming back. That weirdo would have the parts need to get them going. I'll take this guy to the doctor for you. You just go get Scout and get them going off. You turn left when you see the castle then. Make a right at the windmill, it's the house with the big white door with a red spot on it. Ben nodded and waved as he ran off, thank you sir. He then ran off to find Scout. On the ship Megan blinked as she said, you know that was pretty smart. Carl nodded. Someone knocked on the door, it was a mummy saying, I overheard, thanks for getting him home and to a doctor. Now I don't want to be rude but we will ask you to stay in there if you can. I mean we aren't monsters but you lot are scary looking. I won't be so much bothered by seeing something ugly, at least from my perspective, but the children won't know to go, oh I pet to them, we are ugly ones. Carl then yelled out, my daughter stowed away, trust me I know where you are coming from. The mummy then smiled, good we are good here. Sorry your ship broke. Meanwhile Ben was in Scout's house as he gathered up his tool belt and said, you just hang here till your watch recharged, I'll go see what parts you lot need. He said, running out, leaving the current unicorn alone. But about 5 seconds later a bandage pulled Ben out, making him use magic to cut it to see Kufulu and Krujo. Ben was forced to run, all the while the townspeople were yelling, Kufulu Krujo, leave it alone, can't you see the ugly thing just wants to go home. Why chase him out of ship and through town? You are scaring the children for no reason. Ben then domed himself to avoid claws. I don't think this are the kind of people one can reason with, but I agree with you good townspeople. Before long Ben timed back in and went Wildvine, losing his shield to use vines to restrain the wolf as he throw bomb seeds at the mummy, making him explode around him. It wouldn't hurt him but it would make a dust cloud for Ben to escape behind. One of the ghosts watching said, oh look they are okay, and it vanished behind the cloud so we don't have to look at it. It's polite at least. A werewolf girl nodded as she said, yeah but still this too deserves so much worse for doing this. For scaring the kids, then factor in the poor thing they were chasing's mental health. They all then jumped and screamed as Ghost Freak appeared before them. Poor thing, it's the only reason I could not reclaim my throne till now as your lord, but it failed and Scare has returned. His head turned right side as he said, ah Wahome already put that right. A passing by member of Frankenstrike's race said, great there goes the planet, thanks for trying ugly bro, thanks for trying. Ben made it back to the ship, timed out just in time to see Victor smashing at the Scout as the guy Ben spoke to said, they bring you home and bring you out of that stone CRP and this is how you repay them. You crazy. Ben timed back in and went feedback to absorb Victor's powers. It's probably related to the fact Ghost Freak came back. The ghost appeared and said, Scare, we are on my home so we use our names Tennyson. The guy Ben talked to punched Victor, I am on the ugly one side, Ghost Freak is more fitting for you. The door was then slashed open by Ghost Freak just to see Carl and Megan using magic light form their horns to shine a spotlight on him, making him fly back in horror as he screamed, oh that F burns. The Frankenstrike look-alike then said, you two are ugly but I like you. I like you a lot. Carl then smiled and said, and from our perspective that's right back at you. Ben then blinked as he said, shockingly everyone is pretty polite here. But then again we only dealt with this ghost and his, I want to call them cultist. The ghost burned. I will have your Omnitrix boy, he said as he hissed, when I revive the Vladet. Victor got up and said, and you have lost me, they eat me. Scout then came out and said, and you damaged this ship more. I don't have the parts. The only place that does is the Ecto Lord's castle. Victor. Ben then grabbed Victor and drained him, making him fall over as the onlookers said, you had that one coming, Victor. The Frankensterk guy walked up, I am the mayor, we do not want the Ectolord. So you heard you kept him away for 8 years. That's pretty good and you all can easily hurt him. How about we put aside we are all but ugly monsters, form each other's perspective and form a united angry mob, storm his castle, handle him, then get the CRP to get you all home. Ben held his hand out as he said, deal, shake on it, or do you not want to? I would understand if you don't. I mean I don't. The mayor took it and sighed, I do not, but it won't look good much the reason you are doing this as well. Mr. Tennyson, he then let go and both Ben and him went to go wash their hands. Scout then sighed, okay. Everyone grab up some sticks, Ben will light them to make torches when we are ready, come on, prep time, that's the secret to a good angry mob. As the angry mob was getting close to the castle, Ben as Bloom's Swampfire was holding fireballs, lighting torches for everyone who was coming late. Guys, we set a time bad show to show up late. That is when they noticed Charmcaster looking in a window talking to her handbag as Carl sighed, oh great, Hope's here. The mayor looked at him but Scout said, she saw her parents get killed so she is F in the head. But wants to be good, just can't figure it out. The leader adjusted his monocle and said, I know the type, but what is she doing here? She did not come form your ship. Megan hovered herself and said, she can teleport. But let's ask Hope, what are you doing here? Hope turned and smiled, oh look, the Tennyson clan. She smiled, well, to put it simple, that stupid ghost stole my alpha rune. The locals blinked again and Carl said, it's an energy absorbing stone. It absorbs energy so fast it's basically got almost limitless power in it. Victor crossed his arms and said, does it glow purple? Because if so I know what she is talking about. He rubbed the back of his head, and I may have installed it into a machine for him. The mob looked at him and Carl said, maybe we should be chasing you. You wait too long to change sides, man. Rad held his belt buckle and said, not cool dude, what's the machine? Victor then gulped, a cloning machine for cloning DNA. As he mentioned Vladats, I guess he is going to print out an army of them. I brought my natural predator back into the universe, someone punch me. Ben then happily punched him as he said, okay, let's get the rune so he at least can't make an army at once. I am sure one can be handled a lot easier if he has to wait to make more than one. A mummy held up her torch and said, the ugly one is right. Oh sorry, I know you're only ugly by our standards. Hope smiled as she said, and I get my rune back, yay, everyone wins, let's mob. They then marched to the castle only for pumpkin-headed minions to come up, but Ben said, SIT, and they did. They looked at him, what, as long as I hold this form, plants listen to me, he Tornado N life form lock, there I said it not to change me, I'll be Swampfire till I turn it off. So how about we get to smashing pumpkins? A group came out to do it as Carl said, okay, we'll leave you all do that as we storm the castle. As soon as they came to the gate, Carl fired off a magic horn blast, breaking it down. They then came to a fork and saw two ghost twins saying, come play with us. Victor stepped up and said, sorry we don't have the time, little ladies, can you please point us to where your uncle is doing stuff? They pointed and they walked off. Ben blinked, never would think someone like that would give a CRP about their family. A random wolf. Girl said, oh yeah, I know. It boggles the mind. They came to another fork as they Megan said, no, splitting up, it always ends bad in the movies. Ben sighed, if I know if Team Pumpkin Smash had finished I would clone with Echo to find out. Wait, what am I saying? Hope you know magic, track the damn rune. The witch listened to her hand back up to her ear and said, oh yes, he agrees with you, Ben. She waved her hand, making a trial become highlighted showing both ways. Oh, looks like he moved it along all the passages ways, the trail is everywhere. She said, looking back to see it going to ever room. The mayor held his chin as he said, I don't want to split up because the little one makes point about how bad this ends up. Okay, left or right, he said looking at them. Victor then held up his hand and said, may I make a suggestion? Shine a light, unicorns. Carl and Megan used their horns to make light, and in a moment they heard a scream of, Mother effer, who opened a window. Form the left one. The unicorn stopped and the mob went that way. A random ghost said, that's what you get when you rip off your skin. I mean seriously, he crazy. They then came to the room where Ghost Freak was using his machine, only for Hope to quickly warp grab the rune and teleport away, leaving them all behind. The machine then sparked as Ghost Freak turned and hissed as it exploded in light. He was fried by his own machine, with led to the dust settling to reveal the walking forward Lord Trancel, who quickly spit his bats going on everyone's forehead while the ghost phased through. Carl and Megan's horn speared them, making them pull the dead things off. Ben just burned it off, but the other members of the mob were now forced to listen to the vampire as he said, get them, kill them for your new MSTR, my slaves. The Tennysons and Ghost were forced to flee by jumping out a window where Ben saw no more pumpkins and turned it off, making yellow light come in, and in a moment Ben became vampire and he quickly spat on the Teach pumpkin as he said, trust me, you want my shape shifter bat things on you, not his. Lord Trancel hovered out as a wolf mob member said, we believe you. Ben fly at him, tackling the bat for a bat-to-bat fight, hissing as the real Vladit said, you are a faker, weak in my flesh. Ben then quickly clapped his hands, making a sonic blast knock him away as he hissed and said, yes, but I can go ultimate, do you have ultimate? He said, turning the dial, making the spikes come out. Vampire hissed as from his back came 4 massive wings come out. He gained mouths on his hands. A third eye and grow larger, even growing a lizard tail of black as he hissed out, ultimate vampire, his hand mouth spat out altered spores. This were larger with teeth, eating Lord Trancel's spores bring his controlled under Ben's controlled. Now hyper-evolved Vlad at most feed, he said, jumping, grabbing, locking hands with the real one. The other one screamed as Ben's mouth hands bite him, draining him, making the vampire like alien age as Ben said, I can feed on other Vladats, can you feed on me? The Lord hissed as he aged back to dust falling down. Ben then landed and timed out, making the spores fall off. Now I am going to go put a trap of light in the map so Ghost Freak can't get back in there. When he does pull himself back together, after that we work on the ship to leave. As we are out of our teleport range. Hope could have waited and took us all home. The mayor nodded and said, yes, she was very rude, but she is troubled child. While Ben was away in Anna with his dad and little sister, Jessica was on her own adventure with Sandra. Right now Jessica was shaking the upside-down Arjit, screaming, throw up the factor you swallowed. I shouldn't need to say that. Thunder Pig came in and Sandra tagged out as Jessica drew her sword, charged and slashed Thunder IG's mace as the big said, you eat my father. Jessica crossed her arms, no I didn't, I have a bacon allergy. She'd kicked the pig away into a table. Right now they were in black hole as Siphon walked in, arm gun pointed, cough up Tekadons. Arjit then throw up a cube that turned into an orange Tekadon and Siphon as he said, that was a figure of speak. Arjit then yelled out, stop this lady. The orange robot then slapped Sandra's wrist, making her drop Arjit, who throw up another one as Sandra said, Arjit, your robot babies are listening to you. The alien throw up another cube that became one as he said, don't make this weirder. Attack them, not the winged lady or the sword chick. I owe them too much, but get the rest. The robots held their hands out ready to fire their lasers ends as they said, targets acquired, they then fired, making them run out. Jessica watched Arjit throw up another cube as she said, you are going to need a stomach bump. Arjit held his gut, yeah I can spin this. I got a good rep after my spins knocked out that way bad saving this people. He throw up another cube, I will say I did what I had to do to stop street gangs from getting robot army. He then held his stomachs and throw up another cube. The Tekadons then fired on them as Arjit said, and don't hit strangers, don't let people get hurt that aren't actively breaking the law. Or gunning for me. The robots computed this and one stopped a little alien girl form going out into the streets as a truck passed. Ball popped, but not you. Law don't like bystanders get hurt complete. Sandra crossed her arms and pulled out a small laser gun from her pocket and fired on one of Pisfan's gangs, hitting the chest face in his chest face. You just made a robotic neighborhood watch, Arjit. That will get you up higher. The rat man was on his knees holding his stomachs. Oh, good for me. He then barfed up another cube. They aren't even the right shape for coming out the mouth. I taste BLD in my mouth and feel it in my throat. Oh F, he said, throwing up a BLD covered cube. Oh, it's ripping my insides up. Get the pump, get the gut pump, someone. A robot ran off to go get it to pump the factor out of Arjit as he said, get stomach pump, get stomach pump. TT ran all the way to the surface of Bellwood. Walked up to the hospital through the door and up to the desk. Walked through the door and stated, emergency, he said, displaying images of what was going on at the black hole. Badge number code display, it said, displaying Jessica's badge number, give stomach bump. A minute later it came out carrying a stomach bump, bring bump, it said, running off and into the black hole to Arjit and putting the tube in his mouth and down there, bumping stomach. Later on, Arjit was in the back of a red spot ambulance strapped down with an IV bag of BLD pumping into him as the alien doctor said, you are lucky. A few more cubes and you would have bleed out into your own stomach. The Tekadons were following them as Arjit pointed to his missing front teeth. Really, you call this lucky? The doctor laughed. This happened on Red Spot Watch, so we are paying for it. You get free medical care till you are ready for discharge. Best in the universe, health care for free. Come on, you know that's as lucky as it gets. Arjit blinked as he said, so I get the good painkillers. The doctor hit a button and Arjit sighed happily as the alien said, oh yeah, it's the good SHT. As good as it gets while still being legal. So you just relax and zone out. We'll bring you out of La La Land when you aren't bleeding out into your stomach. Weeks later, Arjit was laying in a hospital bed looking at thank you and sorry cards as he eat a sandwich. The good here is good, why do people complain? So this work out? I'll be fine. Free room and board for a month. Free medical care for that month. Even got new teeth for free. And I have robots that work for me. He took a bite and said, and I am a believed hero, more local but still. Everything is going up, Arjit. F you, mom. I did make it. Ha 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 ha. An alien doctor walked by, overhearing it as he said, well now if your mom said you won't, she sounds like a horrible woman. Arjit pointed at the doctor and said, you are correct, sir. She was a horrible woman. Also sorry I shredded the sheets again in my sleep. These things aren't made for quills. The doctor nodded and said, we know, that's why we are giving you the one use left only ones anyway, not a lost at all. Arjit blinked and said, I respect that. So what dog pills? Want another x-ray of my gut? Getting the tube out now? The doctor sighed and said, no, we have to change to tube. The alien nodded and said, well, bring it on, doctor, bring it on. Later on, when Ben was home talking about this with Jessica. Jessica blinked and said, and my moms have Kenny for another hour. Can we do something with that new vampire change? Ben was already vampire dipping her and hissing as she blushed, and she said, oh, the joys of being married to a shapeshifter. And with that we have to leave you for now. Pinkie Pie then popped up and said, and while we are talking about, I need to get ready. After all, it's coming up. Area 51. And I am going to be on it with Adam. Next chapter, Pinkie Pie goes to Area 51. She then blinked and whispered, trust me, the writer won't know peace till he writes it. She then laughed heavily as she pulled out a mallet. The fourth wall will not protect you from me. Good thing I am not evil. Trust me, this is a balloon like in that anime where the big nose guy did the same thing to knock out the ghost power lady. We all know what I am talking about, but we aren't masked, so I can't say names. She walked off singing as she tied the balloon mallet into a balloon dog. Adam was coming out of a truck in full plumber gear to Area 51, which was being destroyed anyhow since it was illegal, and all working there on it at any point jailed for war crimes. But right now he was watching an alien, a bubble that looked like some kind of old B-movie alien, talking about peace while his giant robot was smashing things. Pinkie Pie, panting in just a white shirt and blue short shorts thanks to the heat, was throwing things from her mane at the robot, including a kitchen sink. The mare fell over as she waved, "Adam, come quick." Blukik and Dryba's old crush Luli showed up. Turns out they crashed here when they mistakenly start her ship. Now they need to find it to get the bomb for blowing the retro future robot the F up. So we have to delay it, and it's MSTR who wants peace on Earth through genocide. Luli was hovering with her wing pack firing on the bubble, correct summary. Adam then start firing on the bumble guy, only you Pinkie Pie. Meanwhile below. Dryba opened a chest and said, "I found a mini prehistoric ecosystem complete with tiny creatures Ice Age," he said, closing the freezer-like chest. Blukik dropped down, "Mine was dinosaur ages," he said, pointing to the mini T-Rex hanging on to his finger. The finger was bigger than the dinosaur. "I took the selfie but it won't let go," he said, shaking it off. "Get OFF will you micro PEA-brained bird." "Oh, this hurts more than it looks. Turns out they are like their cousins, the swan's teeth on the tongue," he said, trying to get it off by smashing the dinosaur against a wooden crate. The knock broke it, revealing their UFO. Dryba smiled and said, "Blukik, you did it, you found our spaceship." "I can't believe it," he said, opening the door. Meanwhile above, while Luli and Adam were firing on the benevolent Pinkie Pie was on top of the BLRRT. While on top of it, Pinkie Pie pulled out what looked like a screwdriver and she panted as she stabbed it in the eye, making it run around, arms stretched out, screaming, "Eye broken, can't see, can't see. Been shanked in the eye, can't see," over and over again while Pinkie Pie held on to its antenna. Meanwhile below, once inside. Blukik found it and said, "We have a problem, Dryba. The bomb has been on charge all this time and the ship still has power." Dryba held his chin, "So the bomb is overcharged." "OHF, he grabbed his face. "IT will blow US all the F up. US Luli, me, you and Adam, but not Pinkie," he banged his fist into his hand. Blukik blinked, but Dryba said, "You remember our study of the Pinkie Tennyson sister? She breaks physics. Much like a cartoon, logic does not apply to her. Now what happens in a cartoon when a cartoon explodes a bomb?" Dryba blinked and said, "They get a little ash covered, maybe a comical pit of fire on the hair, but they find but not what they want to explode, and the area is just around them. Oh, I gets it, we give it to Pinkie Pie so it explodes like a cartoon bomb." The two then ran quickly as Dryba said, "Careful. If it explodes beforehand we are all F." "Careful, careful," he stopped and took the other side. "We have to work together on this to make sure it doesn't explode on us till it's in Pinkie Pie's hands." Blukik blinked and let out a blunt, "Well, we are all F then. F to the highest power." As they went to handle the steps together, side to side so we can both look forward please, they rotated. Dryba gulped, "If we don't make it out of this, and trust me, us living is highly unlikely, always thought your hat and overalls were stupid." The other one said, "I know, that's why I wear them to PSS you off," he said before added, "and also. You are short," the other guy said, "You stink." The two frog-like aliens insulted each other while going up the stairs with a bomb more powerful than an atomic one. Yeah, SHT is looking grim as F right now. Meanwhile above. Pinkie Pie was hanging on to the robot as the robot removed the screwdriver and blinked, the old glass shattering like in a cartoon. Error, no logic in event. Still unable to see, its B symbol opened, revealing a camera eye as he said, "Sight restored, backup eyeball online. Going back to smashing things." Pinkie Pie was panting, picking at its head as she said, "Why won't you die?" Across from her, Adam and Luli were doing no better as the Galvan was flying out of the way of the other alien's laser blast. "How come our laser bounce off it but his go through the bumble?" Adam took a moment and said, "Maybe the ray gun is a targeting tool and the energy is being fired from the bumble itself." The gray alien looked at him and said, "Well, someone is smart. But the peace will come," he said, happily firing off more shorts. Before long Blukik and Dryba were at the top. "Pinkie Pie, this bomb is charged, only you can explode it." The second Pinkie Pie appeared and said, "Okie dokie Loki," she grabbed it and throw it to her on top of the robot. The Galvan saw the second one was gone. Dryba then said, How does Adam put up with that kind of breaking of the laws of reality? In a moment the Pinkie Pie on the robot got the bomb, and just like in a cartoon it exploded in a cartoon bang. It even left the bang like burnt imprint on the ground as a covered in ash Pinkie Pie was laying on the ground, the robot gone. The Pinkie mare licked her fingers to put out a pit of fire on her tail as she said, "The deed is done." The robot's head then landed on the benevolent, breaking his bubble and crushing him like in a cartoon. Luli blinked in confusion. What did I just see? Blukik then walked up. To put it simple, the pink one over there can break physics to make it act like in a cartoon for her. We have yet to figure out how, but we know how to use it. It was on charge all this years. If someone who wasn't running on cartoon physics, we would have all exploded. Luli looked to Adam. And you are dating it, are you crazy? Pinkie Pie walked up, gave herself a shake, and she was normal again. Can we get out of this, son? I am covered in 10 pounds of fur. She then burst into a cartoonish I am hot fire. Relax, it's just an effect, it isn't even hot. Luli put her hand through it, no burn. How? Rarity walked in to see the proto truck tricked out and Rook as fist Rook as he said, Baba, check it out. I tricked out the Brodo truck and got more reps in on the Brodo tool, he said, using it as a flex machine. I's doing super today, babe. Rarity may have just came back for the weekend, but she blinked at this and said, Rook, you just used in contraction. We need to get you checked out. She said, going with the least out of character thing. While being scanned, Rook was humming before asking the two Galvans, so what's up with me, doc? Blukik point to the screen. The stuff those toe used to melt their cell doors most have got in the vent and in your head because you got a gas pocket stuck in your head. Dryba then said, right by the personality part of the brain. So you have altered personality for a month. Blukik then said too. While they were arguing, Rarity helped him up. Well, he is dressed funny and talking odd, but that ever stopped us before. Come along, darling. Rook flashed the hang loose hand sigh as he said, well, see you Dr. Bros later. Got a bad guy to check, no disrespect. While riding in the truck, Rook said, gee, where do we look first, babe? Rarity rolled her eyes and said, you are the detective, Rook. Think fist trick and Fistina escaped. You seem to be acting like fist trick, so what would you do if you just broke out the slammer? Rook hummed as he tapped on the wheel before snapping his fingers, I would go see my bros to let them know I am out, as not like I could holler at them. No phone. And pay phones are cross. No disrespect to them, they just need a little wipe dispenser in them to clean them off. Between uses. Rarity nodded and said, true, but where would we find his gang? Rook made a sharp turn as he said, the sick warehouse they hanged out. It's too epic of a hangout to move out of. Before Rarity could say something, they were there and cars were parked in front of it, muscle cars. Rook got out and Rarity blinked as he kicked it open and shook his hands to see Fistrick gang, and the unicorn crossed her arms and rolled her eyes. Rook smiled as one of the guys said, hi, electrolyte drink. But the red spot said, sorry bro, no disrespect, but on the clock. Can't accept stuff, it would be a bribe. Then we would both go to the slammer. Can't have that. But anyway, your boy Fistrick broke out. Rarity coughed and said, and Rook believes the first thing he would do would be to drop in and tell you he broke out. One of the gang members on the couch took a sip of drink and said, Blue bro was right, he did come see us. Rarity jumped as Rook said, sweet bro, what did he say? One of the gang members said, he said something about him and the robot lady going to enter some fight club for a golden power fist weapon or some. Rook held his chin and said, most be some bad powerful sick bling if they broke out for the chance to win it. Best enter and win it before busting them, can't let something fall into the wrong hands. There was a chance for a pun there, he said, holding his chin. The unicorn sighed as she face-palmed, like dating Fistrick again. No disrespect, she shivered after she said that, and it's spreading. Look, where is this fight club at? One of them handed them a map and said, oh, he left a map for us to come cheer for him. You can just follow us, we were about to head out anyway, bros. Rook smiled happily, thanks for the help, brothers. Later on at it. Rook was sighing up as Rarity said, I think I will just watch. In a moment the chicken-like alien spotted a Tennyson and ran off. Rook blinked. He needs to lay off the supplements, too much of the wrong kind can make you sick paranoid bro. Well babe, wish me luck. Rarity went to the stands to see Slick's Vigma having gone legal, and she said, really, after all the trouble you gave us back in the day. I should bust your robotic as right now. But I won't. One of the stand members looked to her, growling before she said, I am a Tennyson. The person held their hands up in surrender. Before long in the ring it came down to Rook versus Fistrick. Rook and him were moving around as he said, come at me bro. The other guy said, no, you come at me. Bro. Rarity rolled her eyes and called out, Rook, threw the first punch or I am breaking up with you. Rook turned his tool to blade mode and charged. That's motivation. No disrespect bro, not to respect my babe's wishes. Fistrick blocked with his 2 energy daggers. No disrespect, but she used to be my chick bro. In a moment Rook landed a knee to his gut, then disrespect meant bro. As Fistrick threw up BLD and dropped his weapon, Rook kicked him in the head, sending him up. Where he got elbowed in the face into a wall. Rarity only dated you to go undercover bro. She was making herself dirty to do her job. The same job I got to do bro. Being a red spot. Fistrick got up and pulled out another knife, going for a shock, but Rook moved to the left, letting the knock hit his arm as he changed his prototool to gauntlet mode, and using the energy fist hit him right in the neck, knocking him out. He put his weapon up and removed the knife. You lucky I can't like stab your neck without breaking the code bro. Also ouch. This things are heat made crazy. Well, I guess that burns the wound close so no one bleeds out, but still hurts like a mother effer. That is when Fistina, using the golden fist, punched through the walls as Rook said, oh sweet, I won and you are here to give me the price, like thanks nice lady. Fistina blushed, oh I can't punch you even with silly undercover haircut. She removed the gauntlet and handed it to him. You won fist, you get fist rookie. Rook smirked as he jumped in place, putting it on. Yeah, he fist bumped. Before holding up his badge, now I see a few bros who have arrest warrants. URL IKE boost my babe Rarity domed the place. She will let out all who don't have a warrant. So if you have any tickets to pay them fast brothers before the trucks show. A lot of sighs and panic screamed hit. Later on Rook was dancing in the base happily. We totally need to hit up some clubs with this bling babe. Rarity sighed as she said, so a month of 2 till the gas goes completely away, you reset. Going to be a long one. You are so lucky, I love you. She then grabbed his face and kissed him. When she broke the kiss, Rook said, damn right, I am the luckiest bro in the universe babe. Max had his hands on his hips as the Bug brothers were taken in, and he said, so their bootleg Omnitrix got stolen by Albedo. That's not good, he can easily make it as good as the real thing for a later attack. Max looked around and said, where is Ben? Rook and the others. Hubble walked by and said, turn on the TV. Ben offered to have himself roasted for charity. Meanwhile on the roast. Rook still with the fist Rook haircut and the sleeves. Ripped off his suit as he spoke up, yo brothers, I am Rook. And it is total my honor to be sing this roost of Ben dude. Ben was on a chair on one end, beside that was Kevin, Gwen, his old babysitter Penny, Mr. Bauman, Megan and finally Lucy, all waving to the crowd. Rook then cleared his throat. First ups. Let me start this roast where we point out and laugh at the flaws of a famous person, and he just laughs it off as it is all in good fun, as the ratings for this decides how much money goes to a cancer charity. Sorry, I lost the card with the name. Hole in my pocket. Dudes, he said, pulling his pocket inside out to show there was a hole. He then took the microphone and said, Ben dude. Now I still got that gas blockage in my head messing with me. But first up, you are my bro. A big time bro. Second of all, when you are around you either smell smoothies, vegan chili fries, or fish. That last one is because his wife is a mermaid. In case you didn't get it. Ben clapped and rolled his eyes, but Rook then said, okay, up next if Kevin the man Levin. Kevin walked up taking the microphone and said, first up Ben, thanks, you saw hope for me when I didn't. Thanks for that. Second off. Why the hell haven't you used gray matter to hack the MSTR control? I get it now, that's just respect to Azimuth. But back in the day that was just being lazy and stupid. Ben then called out, "Want to give your copycat as a chance?" Kevin waved a fist and said, "And I am marrying your cousin. So canter off, pony boy." He then passed the microphone off to Gwen. Gwen spoke up, "Yeah, you heard right, Kevin asked me to marry him. At a car show. Showing off his new he made with the money for that auto show in space event. Musclehead, but he is mine." Kevin chuckled as Gwen said, "And Ben, look how time flies, feels like just yesterday we were 10 and I was debating one rather to use that day of bad luck curse on you. If I didn't we wouldn't have had that event with the dream machine and the forever night, sorry about that." Ben crossed his arms and stared daggers at her. "Wow wow. Cousin." Gwen passed it up to Penny, who was in a shining black dress, as she said, "Hi Benji, been so long. I mean, can you believe the 5-year-old I babysat grow up to be a superhero and a unicorn then married a mermaid? Because I sure as hell can't. It's like a bad fanfic up in here." People chuckled and clapped as she said, "Well, I guess the truth is stranger than fiction, and Tennyson's even weirder. But serious, love you, Ben. Also, my baby daddy hasn't been paying and he doesn't believe I know you. I expect a massive check coming now that he can confirm it." Ben then called out, "Tell me where he lives, I'll get your money, you played, so you need to pay. No dead beats," he said, turning into wrath before going ultimate and roaring, "I will cut him 5 times. Penny smiled and said, "We'll talk after the credits roll. You hear that, Bevan? BEN10 is coming to kick your ass for me." Ben timed himself out and looked to the cameras and said, "You have 10 minutes to do the right thing as." Penny smiled as she passed it on to the little Megan. The little unicorn walked off to the microphone, hovering herself up with magic as the 10-year-old said, "Hi big brother. I wish I had a story, but he was out of the house when I was growing up. But I do have one picture of him having a tea party with me as a little baby. Wish I could show it, but he XLR8 swiped it before the show." Ben crossed his arms proudly as Megan said, "Well, love you anyway, big brother. And Kenny is super cute. We sure he is yours." Ben rolled his eyes as everyone laughed and Megan said, "Dashi told me to tell that joke." The little unicorn then said, "Okay, now I am handing this over to a mother-in-law." "Good luck, bro," she said, handing it off as everyone laughed. Lucy smirked, "Well, Ben the unicorn who married my mermaid daughter. How F is my life that I can say that. I mean, I have a mermaid grandson. He is an adorable little thing, but let's face it, he is freaky. Not offense." Ben then called out, "Freaky is fabulous lady." Lucy rolled her eyes as she said, "I don't think that is our franchises there, Benny." She then took the microphone, "I'll be honest, I want to hate you as you married my daughter and that's my job. But so far no complaints, with only makes me hate you oh so much." She then turned around and walked off saying, "So buck off, mister, I can't complain." She passed the microphone back to Rook. Rook then clapped, "And there are our roosters, everyone. Now for our bro of the hour to step up and fire back." Ben stepped up, taking it, "You know, I can't decide what is weirder, this blockage you or normal you." Rook clapped as he said, "Now Kevin. I kicked your ass as a kid, a teen, I can do it again." He then looked to Gwen, quote, "Your parents, you can do better, Gwen." Gwen held her face, chuckling as Ben stepped out and said, "Penny girl, it's been too long. I wonder how it would have turned out if my parents hired you that summer I first got this thing," he said, tapping the Omnitrix with his microphone. "That would have been fun to see you freak out, you safety nut." Penny clapped, holding her sides as she yelled out, "Yeah, it would." Up next was Megan, and Ben said, "I have nothing to say, little unicorn," and finally his mother-in-law, "If you hate me then hate you too, lady. But your daughter and me love each other, and we decide who babysits Kenny." Lucy yelled out and said, "You won't dare." Ben then looked to everyone, "And that's our time. Thanks for watching this roost. Hope we get a lot of hits for charity. After all, doctors having to keep people alive who are suffering from horrible sicknesses are more heroic than I can ever be." He then dropped the microphone and walked off, everyone clapping. Rook picked it up and said, "And that, bros and dadettes, is the end of the roost. It was a total honor to have you all by peace out bros. In the middle of Bellwood at Mr. Smoothie was Rainbow Dash and Paris talking to Clyde as Rainbow saw him turn on his new exo armor. Dashy said, "What is it with this family and finding alien things while camping?" Clyde then happily said, "I know right," he said saying, "but I don't know how to use it. I want Ben to help me with that but no he is away." Paris said, "Then let's go to the plumber base me and Dashy can help," he said quickly drawing a quill staff from his arms. Later on Clyde was charging at them in the training room as Pierce shot off quills that bounced off the armor. Dashy flew and landing a sonic rain boom kick to the armor knocking it into the wall but it wasn't dented as she said, "That is well made." She then drew an energy weapon from her handbag and took fire. Clyde held his arms out and said, "Stun shot setting." Before firing it off 2 gun barrels popped out of the back of his hand as he fired on them both making them split. The hybrid guy drew a quill staff and jumped around avoiding them while Dashy was flying around rapidly drawing fire. Moments later Paris made it behind Clyde and landed a quill strike to the back with his staff through a crack making him fall over. "Watch your back. Man." The training would continue for a while till Clyde was ready to go home and be a hero there, but they would need a break. Clyde removed his helmet as he opened a can to drink and Paris said, "Okay, what is your motivation here? Why do you want to be a red spot, a plumber, or a hero?" The guy adjusted his glasses. "Gee well, if I had to guess I would be to keep Grandma safe. Every summon those old people eaters come back man. And the armor has an aqua mode that shoots water while on land. They melt in water. So I guess I just want to melt the old people eating aliens that try to eat people's grandparents every summon." Rainbow crossed her arms and said, "Good reason. Really good reason. But can I ask why you are with your grandma all year round?" Clyde sighed as he took a sip then said, "Well, you know I am a distant cousin but well my parents kicked me out when I came out as gay while young, been with her ever since." He then continued on saying, "And I am not the only young person there. A lot of those old timers are looking after their grandkids for whatever reason. Hell, my boyfriend lives with his grandparents next door. Every summer it's us versus those aliens using water guns and CRP. Wondering when we will fail next, when the red spot's backup will come about and whose grandparents are F. I want it to SOTP." He then crushed the can in rage. Paris then crossed his arms. "We found our motivation. I'll get ID mask to make us look like them." A week later. Clyde in his armor was moving around in the summer heat of the desert sands. When his scans picked up something in his armor tank on the back and a diving style mask as he turned to point his wrist at an old guy and fired off a water blast making him melt. "Nice try DNA scanners." He charged off firing more water blasts melting more shape-shifting aliens that came to eat old people. He yelled out, "You won't eat any old people on my watch." He said shooting water blasts rapidly melting the fleeing aliens as he screamed, "I will melt all of you. Stay away from the elderly you sickos." The other young people were watching standing back. One lady in hippie-like cloth said, "Well damn. When did Clyde get so manly?" A guy with blonde hair tan in just swim trunks thanks to how hot it weighs said, "He spent a week learning how to hero up from his family. So probably that." He then grabbed a water gun. "Come on, let's go do our job." Door to door shot them with water to see if anyone else got replaced so we know how to look for underground. We all know the drill. Come on, grandparents are on the line, damn it. Meanwhile on another world. Rook Shah Rook's sister was standing boarding a ship just in time to see Kundo knock her father down. She gasped. Rookda then got up saying, "You cannot force your opinions and ways on others, Grand Mstr. Your way is not ours." The MSTR growled as he went in for another punch only for Rookda to pull something out making a green energy wall appear to protect him. That is when Kundo saw it a prototool in shield mode. He changed it to WHP mode to swing the energy. WHP made Kundo jump back as he drew his staff. "You dare write me with a machine." Rookda then said, "Your staff breaks apart into a spinning weapon. It too is a machine that changes form just like this. Just older model," he said turning his weapon to spear mode to charge. The MSTR blocked the energy blade with his staff's blade as he said, "A fair point I guess." The father then jumped back, "We use machines on this world. For traditional events your hate of Outworlders and tech is personal Kundo," he said, knowing full well his young one had snuck aboard to go to Earth. The MSTR then sighed and said, "And May Way will be the way of you all whether you like it or not." He then gave a staff strike and used the stone cutter through it to make a shock wave too, but his shock Rukta was only knocked back, his proto tool still working. The father turned his proto tool to gun mode and fired on him. "Nice try, but much like what happened with the one my son uses, Rarity kindly enchanted it. So it recharges itself and does not break so easily." Kundo jumped and ran avoiding fire as he said, "Then I will have to fight around the machine to its owner," he said, flipping and landing a spin kick to Rukda's head, while growling, making everyone gasp as he used a contraction. Rook's father stumbled but didn't fall. Rukda fell over only to change to gauntlet mode and go in for a punch that Kundo blocked with his staff. That MSTR growled, "What is this style?" In a moment a kick hit Kundo in the hip as Rukda said, "My son called it Earth Street fighting." Kundo dropped his staff and Rukda landed a head as to his head and changed his weapon to sword mode to go in for a slash. Kundo then moved to the right and landed a stone cutter punch to the gut, knocking him out. "I will watch out for this style when I go to Earth to force your children to return." He then noticed the crowd charging at him, calling out he did not have the power to do this. Meanwhile on Earth, Shar and Young One were talking to Rook, who still had the fist Rook hairstyle, about what happened, and Rook said, "Then you're not going anyway." They gasped as Rarity said, "Still got the blockage." Rook nodded as he said, "Big time." On Earth Kundo had used the stone cutter to make cars crash as he screamed in rage on Earth, only for ultimate wrath to come out claws out. The MSTR went to use the stone cutter through his staff only to gasp as the same effect came from Wrath's claw, cancelling each other out as the ultimate tiger said, "Let me tell you 5 thing Kundo." Kundo backed up in shock as Wrath charged using his claws to slash. The MSTR was blocking with his staff as the cat said, "Thing 1. This is not your planet, you can't run around doing what you want. Do you know how many people were injured or maybe killed because of your car crash stunt?" The alien said, "You will NTO judge me, cat," he said, going in for a slash only for a cross slash to cut the blade off his weapon. Ben then said, "Thing 2. Wrath kicked him in the gut, knocking him back. "You are used to fighting your own kind, not others. You don't know what you dealing with me. Need to get out more." Kundo landed back, crashing on a metal wall as he groaned, getting up as he said, "I will admit that. One at least." He charged using the staff to try and go for a stone cutter jab, but Ben avoided and landed a backhanded slap to his face when he moved out of the way, with a simple arm out. Knocked to the ground, Kundo jumped up as Ultimate Wrath said, "Thing 3. Trying the same thing and expecting something different to happen is what insanity means." Kundo then hit the ground with his stone cutter punch, leaving his weapon as he fell through to a roof of Undertown. "Okay, there is a bit of wisdom in there, I need to adapt." Wrath jumped down following as he said, "Thing 4 tradition is just for pressure form the dead." The marital arts MSTR turned around, hands out as he said, "What did you just say?" He charged only to be knocked back by the ultimate, ducking and jumping up with a headbutt. Ultimate Wrath then said, "Thing 5. I am not anti-tradition, it's a good guideline most of the time. But the universe changes and we most deal with things the ones who start them did not have to or even think possible. Case in point, you fighting me." Kundo jumped back up, going in for a kid only for Ben to time out, and his eyes widened as he became an anthro unicorn and made a magic shield that blocked the kid. Ben dropped it and fired a mana blast, knocking him back. Ben then smirked, "Case in point me. Omnitrix is in the red." He then heard a call of, "Tag out BRO." Rook jumped down, his armor was painted like Fistrook but still had the sleeves now decked out in spikes around the elbows down to the hand, much like his boots. "Your fight is with me, former sensei MSTR, he said, jumping in palace in a street fighting stance. Kundo jumped up and charged, "Your father fought with honor, with you disgrace," he said, charging, going in for a fist strike only for Rook to duck and move his arm elbow out to land an elbow strike to his former teacher's neck, making him gasp. A knee went up into his gut. A pissed fighter makes mistakes and leaves oneself open. This be physiological warfare bro, the knee sent him back. Kundo spat up BLD and wiped it on his sleeve as he said, I see a strategy no matter I know how you fight, he said charging only for Rook to avoid with arm out to clothesline his MSTR neck making him fall over holding it. Rook was smirking in his stance as he landed a fist to the face of his former teacher while he was stunned knocking him back, no you don't bro. On Earth you take the parts of different styles you like and mix them together to make a personal style, his use of a contraction was to insult the MSTR. So I know your style but you do not know a thing about how I fight, he throw a few jabs in place. Kundo jumped up and went in for a stone cutter but Rook moved to the right and jumped so as the fist missed. Rook was coming down 2 boots fist on Kundo's head knocking him down to the roof as Rook flipped off and turned around to face him. How many times your great martial arts made you fall to the floor now bro? The MSTR got up a boot print on his face as he growled, I will admit your travels have made you formidable and earthlings can breed warriors. He then ripped of some part of Pip making water come out as he charged using it as a weapon. Rook was and moving out of the way of it, and grabbing a weapon while fighting unarmed is cheating you got no honor, he said before he ducked and went in for a left hook, stone cutter, he called out and to Kundo's shock the shock wave came about hitting the metal staff. Now it was called stone cutter so it won't break metal but it still dented it. Rook jumped back waving his hurting hand, yep think I broke it man. The MSTR looked at him and growled, how dare you manage to pull it OFF, he said charging only for Rook to sidestep it making Kundo fall over the edge of the roof. He hold on to the ledge and Rook smirked watching him, it is jail or the river man. You lose, you lost bad man, he said looking down and holding out his badge, you got a right to remain quite what you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, if you cannot pay for one you will get a guy the court is paying he is working on getting the credits need to become the guy people pay. The MSTR growled, we will meet again, he let go of the ledge and fell into the river below. Rook got up and said, some people just cannot get with the times, he walked off high-fiving Ben as he did so. Later on he returned to the base to his room see Young One playing some kind of video game with Megan he was so focused with the game on the screen he did not notice it. Young One won the match and got up cheering and Rook held out his tail, and look what else happened little bro. Young One's eyes sparkled, yes yes, he took his tail walked up to Ben and handed him his tail, it fell off so as is the costume I give you my tail as I chose the name Ben for myself. Char smiled as she said, now come on we need to take the space bus home. Well you do then I have to go to the academy. After they were gone Ben put the tail in the trash, I mean no disrespect but icky. Rook walked out and said, trust me Ben dude I get it. I mean if your sister handed me her tooth and said she picked the name Blanco I would throw the tooth away. That's another part of tradition that needs to change. Now I am off to go meet your sister for a date. Ben rolled his eyes as he said, and I am off to go kiss my mermaid wife. On that subject Bauman's girlfriend will be showing up soon. Megan ran out screaming, he has a girlfriend. He has a friend. Ben petted her head, I had the same reaction. Underground Bauman was kissing Sheilane to the stunned shock of Megan and Jessica. Ben was holding Kenny who was now 2 and waving going, hi hi hi. Sheilane stopped and went over to tickle Kenny, oh Iggy you didn't tell me Kenny was this cute. Megan's jaw dropped as she said, Iggy, repeating it in shock. Jessica blinked and said, well that would be short for his first name of Ignatius. Megan yelled out, he has a girl's name, she said holding her head feeling like she had stepped into crazy town. That is when Vulcanus punched through a wall and called out, guess who is back. Sheilane hid behind her boyfriend and said, didn't Ben make you explode? The alien put his hands on his hips, well yes but my head survived with let my minions put me in a regeneration life support suit to grow everything back. It's still regrowing but Ben keeps breaking my suits making it take longer. Jessica took Kenny from her husband and drew her blade holding it out as she said, yeah maybe you should wait till you were all healed before attacking my husband. The alien pointed at her angry but stopped and blinked saying, yeah that would have been smarted wait husband. You got married wait you have 2 kids. Megan pointed at him, I am his sister not his daughter Kenny is his son, she said making her horn glow to fire off a magic blast that took off the left arm. The pickaxe aliens rushed in, charging. Jessica quickly cut off Kenny's magic jammer and she said, "Dome, dome, dome." Kenny then made a dome that protected her and Sheilane, who was blinking. Bauman ducked and said, "Wait, magic works like that." Ben was feedback absorbing blasts. "Yeah, it does. Now we know he wants the element X. Time for that surprise you got her, man," he said as the pickaxe aliens dove underwater. The shopkeeper ran behind it and said, "Right here, keep her safe." In a moment the alien bad guy put on a breathing mask and jumped underwater. Kenny's dome vanished as the 2-year-old passed out. Jessica handed him to Megan. "I know you are only 12, but watch your nephew," she said, jumping underwater, turning into her mermaid form as Sheilane joined. Ben became Ripjaws and dove down. "Don't worry, Iggy will meet us." Sheilane turned confused. Moments later they saw the pickaxe aliens trying to rip open the hatch to get Element X out, as Vulcanus said, "But your back's into it." At that point his one hand was bitten off by Ripjaws. Jessica swam forward, cutting the legs off, leaving the alien with a handless arm to use as he looked at them and said, "I hate your wife and little sister as much as you, Ben." That is when he hit something and Sheilane gasped happily as there was Bauman in a robot suit. In a moment Bauman removed Vulcanus from his suit and the little man said, "I need a new diaper." As he was thrown away, Sheilane tackled him. "Iggy, you can come see me anytime now," she said, hugging him as he hugged her. "Yes, I can. I owe Ben." He contacted Azimuth and called in a favor to make this suit. The hand then opened to show a piece of lip jewelry. "And you told me this is what your people use instead of rings." The fish lady alien hugged him. Yes, I will marry you, Iggy." Jessica smiled as she sighed for him and Ripjaws to come up, where they got out, tails turning back into legs. Ben timed out and took the sleeping Kenny for Megan, and now Bauman has a wife. Megan fainted at that bit of news. Jessica smiled as she said, "Well, can't blame him, Ben, you two do share the same taste in ladies, you like them fishy," she commented with a giggle. Ben rolled his eyes at the comment as he said, "Really had to go there, honey?" Jessica put her sword up at her side and said, "Do we have a mermaid son?" Ben rolled his eyes as she said, "Oh come on, you know you love your catch of the day." Megan sighed as she said, "Really, and yuck," she said, sticking her tongue out. The redhead laughed at her own joke. "Oh come on, not my fault, the fish puns are coming so easily. It's like we just got out of school." Kenny woke up, yawned and blew a raspberry at that one. The mermaid pointed at him. "Hey now, don't go there, my little sardine." Ben sniffed as he said, "And Kenny gave that one a dirty diaper." He pitched his nose closed. Meanwhile, Twilight was looking at her phone and got up to look outside. She then looked to it. "Okay, Bauman is engaged, why aren't Biggs flying?" In a moment a pig with a jetpack flew by going, wee wee all the way home. The purple lady pointed and said, "Thank you, at least we know the world is in order. Gee, I hope the snow in hell isn't too bad." Meanwhile down in hell, Tyrek was shivering in the cold Arctic that the pits of fire had become. "Can we turn the heat back on?" A generic red devil in Arctic gear walked by and said, "No, also this saying makes no sense. Check the Divine Comedy, the lowest part of hell is an Arctic wasteland and the big boss is frozen in it. And the more souls that end up in hell, the more they heat up and melt him out. And once he is free, the world ends. No, really, read a book, that's what it says." The devil continued, "I mean honestly. It's always a cold day in the lowest level of hell. Why is this a saying, people? Wake up and read a book." The demon walked of turning back to point and say, "Read a book." He gave Tyrek a book. "Read it and you will get a coat." "Read the book, goddammit." He walked off, leaving the centaur confused, but he read as he was cold and want that coat. Somehow Pinkie's voice was heard going, "Breaking the fourth wall is my SHT, goddammit." It was a boring afternoon for Ben, who had to work security at Kai Green's display of alien artifacts as she came to the orb with words no one could translate. "Then how do you know it isn't, say, just a box loaded with some guy's junk? I mean, not everything we dig up from the past and ancient astronauts are important. I mean, Azimuth confirmed his people made Stonehenge and it was just a joke they planned on us for spring break." Kai Green shook her fist as Ben noticed Lucy and Jessie. Kai was yelling at him to stay quit, but Ben said, "Oh, my mother's-in-law, how is it going? What brought you two here?" Lucy shrugged as she said, "Simple. We wanted to get out of the house, and who knows, maybe we would have learned something from it. But so far you seem to have more answers than her," she said, pointing to Kai Green. Kai was about to say something, but in a moment Maltruant appeared, stepping out of a red portal behind the orb, where he opened it and pulled out a teddy bear, and he hugged it. "I am taking back my teddy bear," he then stepped back in. Kai Green's jaw dropped, stunned, as people were laughing. That orb was the centerpiece of the gallery, and like Ben said, it was just a lost box of junk. Jessie was one of many rolling around on the ground as Ben crossed his arms. "I should probably have tried to arrest him, but I can't arrest a guy for wanting his teddy bear back. My father instincts won't let me, man." Lucy was holding her sides, trying to help her wife up. "Okay, yeah, we need this." Ben nodded as he said, "Oh, Kai Green, thank you for this. I need a nice relaxing day to laugh my ass off." Kai Green was growling. She and her gallery just became a laughing stock thanks to a lost teddy bear. A few days later, Rook, finally normal, was running beside Ben as Rook said, "Why are we running?" Ben pointed to the note. "Note says no machines, no transformation for the meeting. And trust me, this is important form who it's side by." Rook blinked as she asked, "But is that not your handwriting?" The shapeshifter said, "Multiverse Rook, all Bens with a clockwork can travel it. We even have a clubhouse outside of time and space, man." Rook blinked, picturing a club full of Bens. The blue dude could only say, "Thank you for those nightmares." That is when they came to the alley and he stepped out, a human Ben form, ultimate alien with the Omniverse Ultimatrix. The human Ben stepped out, arms crossed. "Took you a while, but you AP Bens are all pretty slow." Ben rolled his eyes. "Oh, save it, Triplup." Rook blinked at the terms the human Ben said, "AP Anthropony." The pony Ben said, "Triple B, big brother Ben, he gets it as he was the first one in the multiverse to be one. And he is the best of us," he said, saluting, then bowing to the other Ben. Rook blinked as he said, "I feel like I am having a fever dream and will wake up with a scream soon." Triple B hit his Dale to become clockwork. "No time for that. You have to go to the 60s universe. Quickly, Bright Ben is in big as trouble." The door opened. Ben pulled Rook through and he said, "Time to go to the 60s, he jumped through, pulling Rook. In a moment they were in what looked like a campground around a festival, and Ben read the sigh. "Wow, the most famous outdoor concert of all time being crashed," he said, the people away. That is when a human Ben with pink lens glasses, a white shirt with a rainbow piece, Psy brown vest, brown pants, green sandals and green armbands ran up. On his wrist was an alien force Omnitrix. He looked to the normal Ben and said, "Far out, man, a unicorn me. Triple B sent you far out dudes to help me. I know the me is rocking, but what about the blue dude?" Our main Ben said, "Well, I let him date one of my sisters, if that says anything." Rook held his hands out, but in a moment the other Ben turned and there was a black three-dimensional silhouette in the shape of a humanoid wolf with glowing white eyes and fangs roaring. Rook drew his prototool in sword mode. Our unicorn Ben became feedback. The hippie Ben became Wildvine, his version Ben brown in color with a golden dial symbol, keeping his glasses as he grabbed seeds to throw. Taste flower power. The shadow moved through the blast as Rook fired and feedback tried to drain it. "This singularity glitch is F," he said, ducking to avoid a claw strike. Rook was using his weapon as a shield where hippie Ben became unbloomed swampfire brown colored with golden instead of red and throw fireballs at its back. "I know, right, man? It ruined the festival dudes. Like it needs to go down. But it won't. It's too much a dog of war dudes." Rook was knocked back by it. And normal Ben became water hazard. In a moment the Bens mixed fire and water, making steam to hide as they pulled Rook out of the way. They were now hiding under the stage. The Bens timed out as Rook said, "I demand to know what this singularity glitch thing is." The hippie rolled his eyes and adjusted his glasses. "Since you aren't a Ben, I'll let the dude go, dude. But yeah, you have a right to knows. It's all thanks to Ian, man. Like dude was a singularity, a being that is everywhere by becoming one with the multiverse itself, dude," he said, holding his hands together. Normal Ben then said, as Ian is part of the multiverse. When Ian of the Hymns dies, it upsets the multiverse and freaky things happen for a while till it adjusts to the new number of hymns. That beast is one of those glitches. It looks like something you would find in a universe over with a magic universe. Hippie looked at it and list on his hands, but like it ain't. I tried silver, not what it looks like. And the fact energy entered feedback shows it's a living thing, not a placebo life form. So it's not nothing form, none of the mystic universes. That is what is making it so tricky, dude, and why Triple B sent me help. Rook was scanning it as he said, my scans show nothing, and how has it not found us? The hippie covered his ears. No ears it can't hear, man. He covered his nose. No nose can't smell. All it's got is a mouth to bite and eyes to see, he said, pointing to his mouth and eyes. It can't smell and it can't hear. I found out the can't hear thing when I tried Echo. Since it can't hear, the sonics did nothing to it, dudes. Ben held his chin. If it can't smell, gut rot is useless, but it has eyes, that's its only sense, and it's generating light for that. Rook seemed lost, but Hippie tapped his head. Oh dude, I got it. And blue dude, keep up. Despite its looks, it's made of light. Just compressed into a three-dimensional being like us. Rook still seemed lost as Ben the unicorn ran out, and it's avoiding shadows, it needs light to see. But it can move out of way big shadow. The hippie turned his dial. Don't worry man, I like totally gots the darkness. But I am like on the recharge. Can you two dudes draw it away form people, he said, trying to change, but his watch won't let him. Rook was ducking claws form the monster and turning his proto tool to blaster mode to fire. Most this really be what we most do, Ben? I honestly cannot believe this is happening. Ben was currently blocks using shape shifting to avoid the claws too. Yes, it is Rook to both. I don't have darkness unlocked. I will by scanning his, but such an ironic alien for such a bright guy. He made his block launcher to fire them off at the wolf thing, but it slashed them apart. Blocks jumped back and hit his dial to turn into grave attack before going ultimate to slam it into the ground. If Twilight was here, she would talk about how fascinating it is. Rarity would scream. Megan would shoot it. Rook was firing on the gravity slammed down monster, as am I. Ben continued. Rainbow would call it awesome. Fluttershy would pity it for being some kind of extra-dimensional being forced into a dimension number so alien it's in the wrong universe. Pinkie would say it should be illegal for it to be alive. And Applejack would faint. His little familiars helped him hold down the monsters as he said, any time now, Bright Ben. Well, time out. In a moment the hippie ran out. On it, he slammed down his dial. In a moment he changed his skull coming outside his head as his body turned into what looked like a skinless bear-like form, his cloths vanishing and being replaced by ripped pants held up by a chain belt with the tail a ripped stray jacket. His fingers were easily 10 inches long, pure black and bony just like his toes. He roared out, the darkness. Rook looked at the transformation as Ben's watch went into scan mode to copy it. The blue cat-like alien then said, I have wet myself. Bright Ben then held his hands out making them glow black as a black energy construct of a box appeared over the compressed light beast. The beast roared as he slowly faded away now that he was in darkness, screaming as Bright Ben said, poor thing landing in a universe with the wrong dimensions. I am sure if one of us end up in a two-dimensional world we would freak the freak out. And be called a monster by the locals and have to fight back to save ourselves. Soon it was dead and the two Bens timed themselves out. Bright Ben walked over and held out his hand. Yeah, thanks man. And you too, cat dude. This was insane. Would have kicked the bucket before figuring it out if not for you. Rook looked confused and both Ben said, it's slang for die. Rook blinked and said, how? I mean, he held his head. This saying I am completely lost on. I mean plum loco. That makes sense a bit as it reversed to insanity and plum became slang for purely. But kick the bucket. I mean. He saw a bucket and kicked it. See, I am in no life-threatening danger. In a moment the bucket hit an old tree and it fell over, and if Rook hadn't jumped back it would have crushed him. He pointed at the Bens. You two best not say it. I am warning you. Do not do it. Bright Ben then waved his hands, well good luck main. And cat dude. Enjoy having the darkness such a scary dude. But being able to make objects out of dark energy is wicked awesome. It's like totally far out man dudes. Our pony Ben nodded as he said, yeah well Rook I am on recharge 10 minutes till we can go home. Care for a hippie music festival? The cat man sighed, do I have like a choice dudes, he said mimicking Bright Men's way of talking as a joke. One hippie musical festival later. Ben and Rook were in their home universe. Ben had on a rainbow headband with a peace sign appearing in the base as he said, sorry had to make a stop in a hippie universe. He took off the headband, it was like totally far out dudes. Some of the aliens laughed. Rook then came out removing his matching headband, I saw someone eating mud. What was that person on? And it was you, he said pointing at Hobble. What was hippie you on that made him eat mud? Hobble crossed his arms offended, my people filter feed through dirt as we are underground creatures who dig tunnels to make villages. So nothing. Hippie me was just hungry. You know nothing racist SHT heal, he said leaving. Rook blinked he knew what MOT of that was but he pulled out the proto-form's hand computer to look up what heal was Earth for, oh wrestling talk for bad guy, he put it up and said, I have to go look up his people to know how to say sorry and how to make a culinary treat to show I am sorry now. He walked off looking at the hand computer. Ben then pulled out his own phone to call his wife. Meanwhile at his house Jessica was on the phone using her shoulder to hold it to her ear as she opened the door to get a package for Matekadon. Arjit opened up a courier service for alien stuff. That's all good but his partner is Simeon. You know that as that helped the incursions. She then nodded, honey I know everyone likes a heel face turn story. But he is not Kevin. Kevin was brainwashed and crazy all along. He willingly worked with genocide of his people by working with Hypebreed and willingly sold their biological weapon to a gangster. He willingly did all these things. He willingly almost killed his own race twice. He can't be trusted. She put the box down and opens it to look at the jar. Now if you don't mind I need to test my page of Ripio's people's home water to make sure it has the right microbes in it. Yes, it's that microbe that cleans scales. You know I can't reach the tip of my tail in the tub and it's so embarrassing to ask you to clean it. She said red. She then said, ordering this was just the best thing for it. That fish guy told me about it, love you. Later on at the Arjit's place Ben Portaler in as Portaler scaring Arjit. My wife's package was messed with resealed with only half the micro content, someone watered it down. Arjit sighed, I know Benny I know. I got complaints like that. I think there is a mole in my workplace, I think it's the monkey but I can't be sure. I hired him as it was good for business, me the hero local business owner giving someone also on the streets a second chance. But he is took greed for his own good. I won't sell out my people. I won't do kidnapping. I'll set a trap, I'll steal and sell hot parts. But I won't capture or kill personally. You know that Benny man. Ben crossed his arms as he timed out, okay I'll look into this and get hard proof it's the money so I can arrest him. You can fire him and say you worked with the plumbers again to keep your rep up. But I want something in return. Arjit hit a few buttons and said, there your wife has been upgraded to a year of free DLVRY without the down payment. That will more than make up for her money lost. Ben and Arjit shook hands as Arjit said, you are a lot more shady than you used to be Benny their man. Ben then said, you got to do what you got to do to keep your wife and kids happy. I am a father and husband now so I grew. Arjit blinked and rolled his eyes, you make it sound like you killed a man. Ben just left without saying a word, making Arjit get scared. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 7. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author JBoy44 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.